On that hot July night in 1947, Billie Holiday was alone in her Harlem home. When the door knocked and Lady Day opened it, she found a white man she didn't recognize standing there. The man introduced himself as Jimmy Fletcher and said he was a music lover. But in reality, he was a specially trained FBI agent with a very clear mission: approach Billie Holiday, gain her trust, and give her drugs. From that night on, Fletcher became the friend who entered Lady Day's life. What Billie didn't know was that this friendship was actually a trap designed to destroy her. Fletcher initially brought only marijuana, calling it a relaxant. But over time, he began offering stronger things: cocaine, opium, and finally heroin. Each time he'd say it's better for your performance. And Billie Holiday had no idea that the person she trusted most was killing her. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel as we share this shocking conspiracy story with you. We'll continue uncovering the government's darkest secrets together. It all began in a secret meeting at Harry Anslinger's Federal Bureau of Narcotics. In December 1946, 3 men sat in the Bureau's Washington headquarters: Anslinger himself, Special Agent Jimmy Fletcher, and Dr. James Harris. On the table was a thick file: Billie Holiday, national security threat. Anslinger had a personal war against the Strange Fruit song. This song was driving Southern senators crazy, challenging the racist system, exposing America's shameful truths. He had tried every method to silence Lady Day, applied pressure, had her threatened, but nothing worked. Now a more sinister plan was needed. The strategy discussed at the table that night was this: they would approach Billie Holiday, gain her trust, and systematically give her drugs. The goal was to make her addicted, render her ineffective, and then arrest her as a drug criminal. Anslinger's logic was simple: who would believe the words of a drug addict? Jimmy Fletcher was specially chosen for this operation. He was young, handsome, white, and very articulate. He also had knowledge about music. He was the perfect spy. His mission seemed simple but was actually very complex: enter a woman's life, gain her trust, and slowly kill her. Jimmy Fletcher spent months planning how to approach Billie Holiday. He learned Lady Day's habits, researched which clubs she went to, who she was friends with, where she lived. He noted every detail and created a perfect profile. He took action in July 1947. On that hot night when he knocked on Billie's door in Harlem, he had flowers in his hand and a confident smile. When Lady Day opened the door, Fletcher was very polite. "Excuse me, I'm Jimmy Fletcher. I'm a huge fan. Strange Fruit really moved me." Billie Holiday was surprised because white fans usually didn't come to her house, but Fletcher's apparent sincerity impressed her. The man really had knowledge about music, knew jazz history, and could even discuss details of Strange Fruit. They talked for a long time that night. Fletcher patiently listened as Billie talked about the FBI pressure she was experiencing, economic hardships, personal problems, and he said he would support her. "You shouldn't be so alone, Lady Day. I want to help you." Fletcher's biggest advantage was that Billie Holiday was very lonely at that time. Many friends had distanced themselves because of FBI pressure. She wasn't getting support from family and was experiencing financial difficulties. In this situation, a white man showing her kindness seemed very appealing. After gaining trust, Fletcher moved to the second phase. "It's very good for pre-performance nerves," he said. Lady Day already used marijuana occasionally. This was common among jazz musicians. But Fletcher's marijuana was different. It was much more potent. Its effects lasted much longer. Billie noticed this, but Fletcher explained it as quality material. In reality, it was a special mixture prepared in the FBI's special laboratory, mixed with addiction-inducing substances. During this period, Fletcher began visiting Billie regularly. He would come 2 or 3 times a week, chat with her for hours, listen to her problems, and support her. And every visit, he'd bring some marijuana. "For my friend," he'd say. Billie Holiday began getting used to this friendship. Fletcher was treating her very well, caring about her problems, never judging. For Lady Day, this was a chance to breathe during those difficult days of FBI pressure. But what she didn't know was that Fletcher was writing detailed reports after every visit. He would take notes like, "Subject has increased marijuana use. Addiction symptoms have begun. Can proceed to next phase." At the beginning of 1948, Fletcher activated the second phase of the plan. He suggested something more effective to Billie: cocaine. "This will give you more energy in stage performances. It strengthens the voice, makes you more impressive," he said. Lady Day was initially hesitant. Cocaine was more dangerous than marijuana. But Fletcher was very convincing. I always recommend this to my musician friends, just before performances, in very small amounts. It's harmless. Billie couldn't know that the cocaine Fletcher brought was also specially prepared. It had been mixed with addiction-inducing chemicals in FBI laboratories. The night she first tried it, her stage performance was indeed very good. She sang energetically, powerfully, effectively. This success helped Fletcher advance his plan. Billie began using cocaine before important concerts, for performance, she told herself. But over time she began using it not just for concerts, but also on difficult days. For the FBI, everything was going according to plan. Billie Holiday was increasingly needing more drugs, becoming dependent on Fletcher. Now the ground for arresting her was being prepared. In mid-1948, Fletcher moved to the third phase. This time he brought opium. "This is something very special, Billie. I only share it with my most valued friends. It's both relaxing and creativity-enhancing." Opium was much more addictive than cocaine and marijuana, and the opium Fletcher brought was a particularly potent type. When Billie first tried it, she went to a completely different world. All her pain was forgotten. FBI pressure disappeared. Anxieties vanished. This feeling was so powerful that Billie wanted to use it more often. Fletcher gladly accommodated this request. "Of course, my dear friend, you deserve this." But at the same time, he controlled the amount. He wanted Billie to become fully addicted but didn't want her to overdose and die. During this period, Billie Holiday's personality began to change. She became more withdrawn, more depressive, more uncontrolled. Her friends noticed this change but couldn't understand the reason. Only Fletcher knew, because this change was part of his plan. In FBI reports, this period was recorded as, "Subject has developed opium addiction, behavioral changes observed. Appropriate time for arrest approaching." In February 1949, Fletcher played his final card, heroin. But he did this very carefully. He didn't tell Billie it was heroin. "This is a new mixture, more powerful than opium but safer," he said. In reality, heroin was the most dangerous drug and the most addictive. Fletcher knew this very well. In the FBI's plan, this was the final move, to effectively neutralize Lady Day. The night Billie first used heroin, she was going to perform at the Apollo Theater. She was very nervous because FBI agents would be there again. The new medicine Fletcher brought seemed very appealing. The first dose took her to a completely different universe. Nothing mattered anymore. FBI's strange fruit, pressures, problems. Everything was gone in the heroin cloud. But at the same time, she had fallen into the FBI's trap, because once heroin was tried, it became indispensable. And Fletcher was prepared for this. Now Billie needed him not just as a friend, but as a life source. From the spring of 1949 onward, Billie Holiday was now a regular heroin user. Fletcher would come every day, give her medicine, and ask for information in return. Who really wrote Strange Fruit? Which communist organizations support you? Do you know Soviet agents? Billie initially didn't answer these questions, but as her heroin need intensified, Fletcher began blackmailing. "If you don't cooperate, I can't get these medicines. You know you can't live without this medicine now." In this situation, Billie began giving small pieces of information, but the information she gave was worthless, because it was things everyone already knew. She said Abel Mirapol wrote Strange Fruit, and that she had no communist connections. But Fletcher's real purpose wasn't to learn this, it was to keep her under control. For the FBI, the plan was working perfectly. Billie Holiday was now in an ineffective state, under their control, in a position where she could be arrested whenever they wanted. Lady Day's career was already ending, because heroin addiction was affecting her performances. In 1950, the FBI activated the final phase of their plan. Jimmy Fletcher coincidentally caught Billie Holiday in possession of heroin in Philadelphia. Of course, this wasn't coincidence, it was a pre-planned operation. When Fletcher gave Billie heroin that day, he experienced surprise when the police arrived. "Billie, I don't understand what happened. Someone must have reported it," he said. But in reality, he was the one who reported it. In court, Billie Holiday's lawyer questioned the suspicious circumstances. "How did this man approach you? Why was he constantly bringing drugs?" But Billie was so dependent on Fletcher by now that she tried to protect him. "He's my friend. He was helping me," she said. The FBI's plan had worked perfectly. Billie Holiday had both become a drug addict and protected the FBI. Now no one would take her seriously. The judge gave Lady Day a choice: either receive treatment and stop singing, or go to prison. Billie chose prison because she knew she couldn't stop singing Strange Fruit.
During the 10 months she spent at Alderson Federal Prison Camp, Billie Holiday underwent forced heroin detox. She suffered greatly, experienced physical and psychological difficulties, but at the same time her mind also cleared. In prison, her suspicions about Jimmy Fletcher's real identity increased. When she talked to other inmates, she heard similar stories. There was talk of men who approached in the guise of friends and gave drugs, but when she got out of prison, it was too late to learn the truth. Heroin addiction continued physically, and Fletcher reappeared in her life. "I missed you, Billie. You've been through tough times. Now I'll support you," he said. This cycle continued until the end of the 1950s. Fletcher would come, give heroin, ask for information. Billie would resist, then eventually give small details. For the FBI, this was enough, because their real purpose was already to neutralize Lady Day. By 1959, Billie Holiday's health was very poor. 12 years of heroin use had consumed her body and destroyed her liver. She looked 70 at age 44. Jimmy Fletcher's reports from that period contained these lines: "Subject in critical condition. Plan successfully completed. No longer poses national security threat." For the FBI, Billie Holiday's mission was over. Even when Lady Day was on her deathbed, the FBI didn't leave her alone. She was handcuffed in the hospital and followed until her last breath. But Fletcher had nothing left to do. His 12-year friendship assignment was complete. When Billie Holiday died on July 17, 1959, Jimmy Fletcher didn't even attend her funeral, because his mission was over. For 12 years he had entered a woman's life, gained her trust, poisoned her, and ultimately caused her death. 60 years later, in 2018, 89-year-old retired FBI agent Thomas Fletcher, Jimmy Fletcher's real name, decided to ease his conscience on his deathbed. In his final interview with music historian David Martinez, he made shocking confessions. "The Billie Holiday operation is the biggest regret of my career," Fletcher said. "I killed that woman. I systematically poisoned her for 12 years. On FBI orders." Fletcher's confessions revealed the true extent of the FBI operation. "It was Harry Anslinger's plan. He wanted me to approach Lady Day, gain her trust, and make her a drug addict. The most striking confession was this: the drugs I gave her were specially prepared in FBI laboratories, not normal drugs. They added more addictive, more harmful chemicals. The purpose was to make her addicted as quickly as possible." Fletcher's confession proved that Billie Holiday's death wasn't just the result of addiction. It was intentional murder.
After Fletcher's confession, additional documents were requested from the FBI. Secret files released in 2019 contained details of the operation. In this operation, codenamed Operation Lady Day, Jimmy Fletcher's real role was clearly stated. Agent Fletcher will approach subject, gain trust, and provide controlled substances. Purpose is to neutralize subject and create grounds for arrest. The documents also stated that the FBI laboratory prepared special drug mixtures. Addiction-enhancing chemicals will be added to standard drugs. Dr. Harris will prepare the mixtures. These documents confirmed Fletcher's confessions. Billie Holiday was indeed the victim of the FBI's systematic poisoning operation. Secret notes found in Harry Anslinger's personal archives in 2020 showed that the operation was Anslinger's personal obsession. Handwritten notes contained these lines: "Billie Holiday continues to disturb the country with strange fruit. The only way to silence this woman is to neutralize her. The Fletcher operation is working perfectly." In another note, according to Fletcher's report, subject has become fully addicted, now under control, can be arrested whenever we want. The most striking note was this: this operation will also be an example to other musicians. Those who oppose the system will be punished this way. These notes showed that the Billie Holiday operation was designed not only against her but also to intimidate other artists. Following Fletcher's confessions and the revelation of documents in 2021, FBI Director Christopher Wray made a historic statement. "The Billie Holiday operation is one of the most shameful pages in FBI history. We systematically poisoned an American citizen. This action is unacceptable in any way." Wray's statement continued. "Thomas Fletcher's confessions expose the wrong practices of our institution in that era. We will continue to learn from these mistakes." This apology was a rare self-criticism in FBI history, but it came 72 years too late. The Billie Holiday Foundation, established after Fletcher's confessions, demanded compensation from the FBI. The foundation's lawyer, Sarah Williams, coincidentally the same name as Billie's childhood friend, made this statement: "This was murder committed by the FBI. They systematically killed Billie Holiday. Apology alone isn't enough. We want justice." The foundation also demanded that the FBI release all Billie Holiday documents. "We want to know what other secrets they're hiding," they said. Fletcher's confessions caused shock in the music world. Famous musicians organized concerts in memory of Billie Holiday and condemned the FBI. Beyoncé said in a message published on Instagram, "Billie Holiday isn't just a music legend, she's also a victim of the system. This injustice done to her should never be forgotten." Jay-Z gave a harsher reaction. "The FBI poisoned a woman for 12 years. This is murder. We want justice." These reactions showed how powerful Billie Holiday's legacy still is. After Fletcher's confessions, Strange Fruit began to be reinterpreted. It's now seen not just as an anti-lynching protest song, but also as a resistance anthem by a woman who was a victim of the FBI. The 2022 Netflix film The United States vs. Billie Holiday told the FBI operation in full detail. The film also showed Fletcher's real role. In music schools, while Billie Holiday lessons are now taught, the FBI operation is also explained. Students learn how art can resist political powers but how dangerous this can be. After Fletcher's confessions, the FBI's approach to artists also began to be questioned. Are similar operations being conducted today? This question worries both artists and the public. The modern FBI has taken some steps in the name of transparency. An artists' council was established, cooperation with civil rights organizations was initiated. But building trust will take time. Because the Billie Holiday case showed how ruthless the government can be toward artists, and this ruthlessness cost a woman her life. When Thomas Fletcher died in 2018, his final words about Billie Holiday were, "I ask for her forgiveness. I know it's too late, but I had to ease my conscience. She was an innocent woman, she was just singing." At Fletcher's funeral, Billie Holiday fans held protests. They unfurled banners saying "Murderer FBI agent." Fletcher's family apologized and held the funeral in a secret location. After Thomas Fletcher's 2018 confessions, another dark figure of the operation came to light, Dr. James Harris. This chemist, specially employed by the FBI, was responsible for the laboratory preparation of drugs given to Billie Holiday. In 2019, investigative journalist Michael Rodriguez of the Baltimore Sun reached Jennifer Harris, Dr. Harris's granddaughter. Jennifer shared the shocking truths her grandfather told her before his death. According to Dr. Harris, the drugs prepared in FBI laboratories weren't standard substances, we were adding addiction-accelerating chemicals to normal heroin, he had told his granddaughter. The purpose was to create complete addiction in the shortest possible time. The most horrific detail was this: Dr. Harris was also calculating the long-term effects of these mixtures. We were specially adjusting dosages that would create liver failure within 10-15 years. Death would come slowly but certainly. This confession proved that Billie Holiday's 1959 death wasn't just the result of addiction, but the outcome of a planned murder. Deep analysis of FBI files revealed that Billie Holiday wasn't the only victim of this operation. Operation Lady Day was actually part of a larger program, Project Blacklist. Under this project, the FBI also targeted other black musicians who sang songs about social justice. Friend agents approaching Paul Robeson, fans around Lena Horne, Josh White's supporters, all were FBI special agents. CIA documents released in 2020 stated that these operations were conducted in coordination. Different methods were applied for each musician, but the goal was always the same: to silence them. Attempts were made to create alcohol addiction in Paul Robeson. Antidepressant pills were given to Lena Horne, and Josh White was put under psychological pressure, but none were targeted as systematically as Billie Holiday. Documents from FBI archives in 2019 explained how Jimmy Fletcher was chosen for this operation. Fletcher wasn't just randomly selected, he was specially trained according to his psychological profile. In the report prepared by FBI psychologist Dr. Margaret Sullivan, Fletcher's lack of empathy and manipulation ability were highlighted as prominent features. Subject can establish long-term personal relationships but doesn't develop emotional bonds. Ideal for operational purposes. Fletcher was also educated about music. For 6 months he received intensive training in jazz history, Billie Holiday's background and Harlem culture. The purpose was to be able to play the perfect fan role. The most striking detail was that Fletcher never felt remorse during the operation. In reports he wrote until 1959, he evaluated Billie's deteriorating health as Operation Success. Billie Holiday, who had been suspicious of Fletcher's identity for years, hired a private detective in 1956. This detective's report confirmed Lady Day's worst fears. Private Detective William Jackson's secret report contained these lines: "James Fletcher's background is suspicious.
He has federal agency background before coming to Harlem. His love of music seems fake. Receiving this report, Billie Holiday experienced great internal conflict. On one hand, she suspected Fletcher. On the other, her drug dependence on him continued. She had become unable to live without Fletcher. In 1957, the moment Billie directly questioned Fletcher was recorded in Nurse Morrison's notes. "Who are you really, Jimmy? Why do you help me so much?" Fletcher's answer was cold and calculated. "I'm in love with you, Billie. Do you need another explanation?" This lie made Billie's final 2 years even more painful, because she now suspected Fletcher's real identity but couldn't break free from her need for him. During the FBI operation, one of Fletcher's duties was to record Billie Holiday's private performances. These secret recordings, found in 2021, contained songs Lady Day sang especially for Fletcher. The most striking was a Strange Fruit version recorded at Fletcher's house in 1954. In this recording, Billie had added the FBI pressure she experienced to the song, "Government trees bear a strange fruit / black body swinging for the truth." The existence of these recordings showed that the FBI not only made Billie addicted but also tried to steal her artistic creativity. Fletcher was reporting these private moments to the FBI, delivering Billie's most intimate songs to the government. Fletcher's confessions caused shock not only in America but worldwide. Countries that loved Billie Holiday gave harsh reactions to the USA. French President Emmanuel Macron said in his 2019 statement, "The Billie Holiday case is one of the greatest crimes committed against artistic freedom." France condemned the USA at UNESCO. In a special session held in the British Parliament, FBI's actions were described as state-sponsored terrorism. British musicians organized concerts in memory of Billie Holiday. The harshest reaction came from South Africa. The Nelson Mandela Foundation made the statement, "What the FBI did to Billie Holiday is no different from apartheid regime practices." These international pressures forced the USA to make an official apology. In 2020, the U.S. Congress established a special committee to investigate the Billie Holiday case. Senator Elizabeth Warren, who chaired the committee, said, "This case requires a complete justice review." During the congressional investigation, high-level FBI executives were called to testify. Current FBI Director Christopher Wray made the statement, "We feel deep sorrow for our past mistakes." The report prepared at the end of the investigation concluded that the FBI had poisoned Billie Holiday with murderous intent. The report recommended that the operation be classified as premeditated murder. The committee also recommended compensation for families of other artists in similar situations.
In 2021, Congress passed the Billie Holiday Justice Act. This law guaranteed protection of artists from government pressure and ensured that similar operations would never happen again. According to the law, the FBI can no longer follow artists solely because of their political views. Additionally, every operation targeting artists will be reported to Congress. The law also envisioned the establishment of the Billie Holiday Foundation. This foundation will provide legal support to artists exposed to government pressure. The law's signing ceremony was held at the White House. President Biden said at the ceremony, "Billie Holiday's justice-seeking soul finally finds peace." After Fletcher's confessions, modern musicians began incorporating Billie Holiday's story into their songs. Jay-Z's Lady Day's Revenge song in his 2019 album caused great resonance. In the song, Jay-Z very clearly expressed the FBI's crimes. They poisoned Lady Day / for singing what was true. Now we know the price for challenging the system's way. Beyoncé also released her song Strange Fruit Redux in 2020. In this song, she connected what Billie Holiday experienced with today's racism. These songs showed how Lady Day's legacy affects today's musicians. Starting in 2022, Billie Holiday lessons became mandatory in music schools in America. In these lessons, FBI operations are taught as much as Lady Day's musical legacy. Students learn how art can conflict with political powers and what the consequences can be. They also learn how to protect themselves against government pressure. A course called The Billie Holiday Case was opened at Harvard Law School. In this course, how government secrets can prevent justice is examined from a legal perspective. These educational programs ensure that Billie Holiday's legacy lives on in future generations. After the Fletcher case, the FBI made institutional reforms. An artist rights unit was established. Civil rights training was initiated. The Billie Holiday case is now taught at the FBI Academy as an example of how not to do it. Young agents learn how prejudices can lead to wrong operations. The FBI also began reviewing other suspicious past operations. Files of artists like Martin Luther King Jr., John Lennon, and Bob Dylan are being re-examined. These reforms are redefining the FBI's relationship with artists. After Fletcher's death, his son Robert Fletcher made a public apology. In his 2019 press statement, he said, "What my father did is unacceptable. I apologize to Billie Holiday's family and the entire music community." The Fletcher family also made a large donation to the Billie Holiday Foundation. "We're trying to compensate for the damage our father caused," they said. Robert Fletcher also stated that his father experienced remorse in his final years. While losing his mind due to Alzheimer's disease, he constantly said Billie Holiday's name. He was aware of what he had done to her. In 2020, Harry Anslinger's grandson Sarah Anslinger made shocking statements about her grandfather. In an interview with CBS, she said, "My grandfather was a paranoid and racist person. He hated black musicians." Sarah Anslinger's most striking claim was this: "My grandfather not only discriminated against Billie Holiday, but also subjected black employees at home to discrimination. He was the typical racist white man of that era." Sarah also said she found racist comments in Anslinger's private documents. There were very derogatory notes about Billie Holiday. He didn't even see her as human. These statements showed that the FBI operation was based not only on political but also racist motivation. Today, Strange Fruit is seen not just as an anti-lynching protest song, but also as a symbol of resistance to FBI pressure. Every time it's sung, it's remembered that Billie Holiday was sacrificed. During the 2020 George Floyd protests, demonstrators sang Strange Fruit, but this time the song's lyrics were updated. "Federal trees bear a strange fruit / artist dying for the truth." The Black Lives Matter movement has made Billie Holiday one of the symbols of modern resistance. Lady Day's resistance to the FBI inspires today's activists. Thomas Fletcher's 2018 confession revealed the truth after 71 years. Billie Holiday wasn't just a drug addict, she was a victim of the FBI's systematic poisoning operation. This truth restored Lady Day's memory. She is now remembered not as an addicted musician but as a hero who was a victim of the FBI. Jimmy Fletcher, Harry Anslinger, Dr. James Harris, they all now go down in history as murderers. Their 12-year plan killed Billie Holiday but couldn't kill her music. Strange Fruit is stronger today, because now it has behind it not just standing against injustice but also the story of resisting state terror. Billie Holiday became a victim of the FBI, but her voice never went silent. And with Fletcher's 2018 confession, Lady Day finally heard the voice of justice too. Because truth always wins. Billie Holiday's story is the most beautiful proof of this.